Hi and welcome to History Makers TV. I'm Matt Prater. Today we're catching up with Ian Watto Watson from Shed Happens, and he's got one of his mates, Wayne Niebling, joining us on the couch today. How are you guys?
Yeah, good, thank you, Matt. Good.
Yeah, good to be here with you, Matt. This is pretty special. Good to be with you too, Wayne.
Thank you. Yeah, and likewise.
Now, Wayne, tell us a bit of your story, mate.
It's I guess I'm like most blokes. I don't feel like I've got much of a story to tell, I guess I've been involved in Shed for quite a few years, and it's made a massive difference in my life about how I see myself.
Interesting comment there. You said how I see myself. Blokes always give you a little indicator so that you can ask them more questions. Wayne, how did you see yourself when you were a little boy growing up?
It's kind of interesting, Ian. I probably spent most of my life trying to measure up to something or attain to something that I never felt quite good enough. So I probably overdid everything, trying to get, the poor me, the looking for attention. Just trying to get some kind of a sense of self-worth, I guess.
Where did you fit in the family? Just mum and dad? How old were they when they had you? A few of those sort of things.
I was the youngest. In fact, the youngest of four that I know, but my mum and dad lost four children before they actually saved my eldest brother. So I guess that plays a fairly big impact on how they saw me. The last of eight, so I was probably spoiled. My family reckoned I was a pretty spoiled little bloke, seeking attention all the time. And
how old was Dad when you were born?
Dad was 45. So it's interesting because I'd never really thought too much about it, but as a kid, most of the kids my age, their parents were like in their 20s or 30s, and everybody thought my parents were like grandparents. So I never realised how much of an impact that had on how I felt about myself.
Now, also, what happened when it was time of the year to take the school photo? Where were you? Were you the big bloke standing up the back in the middle, the tallest, or where were you?
Yeah, this is the part that used to crush me. Every year, I remember I was the bloke that held the slate in the front that had 1A or right through. I did 10 years at school, and for the whole 10 years I was the bloke that held that number.
How did you really feel about that? Come on.
It devastated me. I wanted to be the bloke, the tall fella up the back. And it was crazy because I started school when I was 4, so of course I was always going to be the little kid. I was up to 2 years younger than most kids in my class, so I'd be surprised if I was ever going to be the tallest kid, but it actually crushed me. I hated every year, and I used to almost think, just 1 year it'd be nice to not hold that damn number.
So when they pick the team and they go, I want that bloke, I want that bloke, I want that bloke, because you were the little bloke, you were always the last bloke standing and they didn't want you in the team?
Pretty much.
Well, you better come in our team. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, pretty much, and you never kind of measured up. Unless of course a mate of mine was the bloke that was picking the team, and he'd probably pick me probably out of sympathy, I guess.
So the poor me, woe is me, please look at me type thing, just roll that along a bit there. And how did your father take to that, and how did you roll up into your life?
Well, it's quite amazing. Again, until recently I'd never even understood what that really meant. The poor me stuff, but it played out so much in relationships in my marriage. I've been married now twice, and I guess there's probably nothing much more repulsive to a woman than a bloke that is seeking attention all the time. So when something happened or I did something, it was probably to gain some kind of, you're okay, it's okay to be you. And when I didn't get it, I'd try harder. So it probably ruined my first marriage. I didn't feel like I ever really measured up. And I guess in a way probably almost ruined my second marriage until I guess I realised that, well, I am good enough.
Now, does that go into the areas of who you are in your manhood and your sexuality too?
Oh, absolutely. But I think particularly in the sexuality, I think it played out for me in a very negative way. Part of, I guess, my journey then in trying to gain some kind of self-worth was, people turn to different things. Well, I became a very lustful bloke. which then after my first marriage, turned into some pretty horrible stuff, behaviour that I'm certainly not
Hey,
proud about
you like it?
even thinking about
You doing
now.
well?
And
But you're a good guy. You know, like where did God start in your life? And you're pretty normal sort of a.
I think
bloke.
that's probably the problem, Ian, is when I was having problems, everybody sort of that was around me, even in my church, thought, oh, Wayne will be okay because he was, everything Wayne does is good and he's a good bloke and he never does anything wrong, and the expectation of other people probably was probably as damaging as to myself as my own attitude towards myself. So it has a way of you can't lie to yourself. So when people are telling you you're okay and everything's good, and sort of deep in your heart that, well, I'm lustful, I've got things that I really need to deal with, and I didn't have any hope. I just thought this is my life, like this is how it was supposed to be.
Children, first marriage, second marriage, what?
Yeah, 2 lovely kids to my first marriage. Fantastic. They're grown up. My daughter's married, and my son has done uni and is moving along in life and got a great girlfriend. But I guess that whole relationship stuff has an ability to rub off on our kids. So part of my pain is the damage that that part of me as their dad, as a man, has left them a little bit scarred, and we talk about it a bit, and I guess I hope and pray that along the way that they see the importance of honesty in their heart, particularly coming before God, confessing your stuff and being the real deal instead of trying to be something that you already are but you don't know about it yet.
So when do you've said the real deal a couple of times, when does that really hook in to go, well, I'm the only one believing this lie, what do I do about it? What's your faith and belief in God, when did that become a reality to you more than just a word thing?
Well, I've been brought up in the church from a little tackler. The reality, I guess, is for me, that I've had moments in my life where God's really spoken deeply into my life, and one occasion we travelled all the way to the state, America, to catch up with some people we'd met through our Christian walk, and it was just a marvellous time to deal with some youth and stuff, and they were all great times. But I think for me the real issue was, the Bible talks about confessing your sins and be healed, and I guess for me, the first time I was interviewed at a shed was really terrifying, because there was some stuff I knew I needed to talk about, but I didn't think it was anybody else's business.
So you reckon that confess your sins one to another is for real? It is. It does work?
It's what makes me passionate now to actually make opportunity for other blokes to be able to do likewise, because it's and I think that passion is about, your story may also help someone else, but I've never ceased to be surprised, even now, even today, as we talk. There's things that God reveals to me about myself that still need to be teased out. So I guess in a way I'm a work in progress still.
So God knows your heart.
Absolutely.
You've been a bloke who's belted your heart the whole way.
Yeah.
And you've come to know the reality that you can confess your sins and be healed, and you're sick of living the lie, and you know that you get the freedom on the cross from the shame. Right up to this point in time, how does that lived out in your workplace?
Look, it's always been a difficult thing, even in the workplace. I work for myself, so it starts with me and it finishes with me. But I guess the freedom that comes is quite amazing, because we talk a lot about freedom. Jesus died on the cross and claimed victory for us, and we have freedom. But we can know that in our head, but until we actually get it into our heart, we live in chains. And we also talk a lot about chains. See, I hear people say they're chained to Jesus, and I don't think I'm chained to Jesus. I'm there, but he gives me the freedom to come and go.
Okay, so in the practical, you told me about a particular case where you felt a little bit, the little boy thing again, being overrode, but you've actually stood up for who you are with good consequences.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers that, because that could help a lot of people in where they're at.
it's quite amazing. I've been listening to a bit of Christian businessmen's stuff, and I have no ambitions to be a millionaire or multi-millionaire or whatever, but just I think that the whole thing is about being authentic before God in your business, and it's hard to do that when you try so hard to be something that the world is asking you to be. So I try and be fairly honest. So what happened was I had put a report in of the work that I had done, and this particular person questioned me about it. And normally I would have probably got dirty and thought, you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm being honest, and like you have no right.